Spider-Man is one of the most iconic superheroes out there. He became successful likely because of his unique character design, and because he's so likable and in many ways relatable. Okay, so you might have never swung around New York hanging off of webbing that you yourself created, but you've definitely felt the weight of some kind of responsibility before. You've been an awkward teen. Heck, maybe you're an awkward teen right now. And it was Peter Parker's attitude and the themes of his struggles that were relatable. With the idea and character design of this character combined, Marvel had a hit on their hands, one that would take the world by storm and end up becoming one of the most popular superheroes around, even outside of Marvel Comics. But let's not forget that Spider-Man is also a weird mashup of a man and a spider, and it is this fact that sometimes causes us to enter the horror territory when it comes to the Spider-Man world. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we are going to be getting spooky and scary with Spider-Man as we count down the top 10 scary Spider-Man urban legends. Join me in exploring Spider-Man theories and rumors that suggest things might be taking a darker turn within the Spider-Man comics, films, and the very Spider-Verse itself. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Breaking the fourth wall. With Sam Raimi's Spider-Man popping up in graffiti art in the trailer for Morbius, many fans have wondered if we'll ever get to return to that world that died with the third movie. Talk of Spider-Man 3 has also inspired fans to reflect on the film, and one Redditor even came up with a theory that actually makes the film more watchable, with all of its strange showboating moments. Film Nerd 14 suggested that both Venom and Spidey in the movie know that they are in a movie, and as such they are working to break that fourth wall, reaching right out to the audience and attempting to be more entertaining because they know it's a movie. Any theory for me that attempts to dive back into Spider-Man 3 is a scary one, especially when it implies if we ever see a melding of these worlds, we could end up with a weird, self-aware, fourth wall breaking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man again in the future. I'm cool with Tobey Maguire being Spider-Man, but I don't know about the fourth wall breaking. I feel like that might be too much for me. No more finger guns, please. Number 9. Polly Spider? Peter Parker has always been oddly lucky when it comes to the number and qualities of ladies he's had hanging off of his arm over the years. Of course, his relationships do have a tendency to end in heartbreak, so he's not as lucky there. But that's what happens when you have to keep major secrets from your partner. Like, you know, that you're a masked vigilante spider power possessing superhero. Still, he's managed to have relationships with two of the hottest ladies in comics, Mary Jane Watson and Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat. Now with issue 5 of Marvel's Spider-Man: The Black Cat Strikes, it's even been implied that there's the potential of a poly relationship blossoming between the three, as both Felicia and MJ express some serious liking of one another. Serious liking. The scary thing here is that there is still a lot of jealousy between the two ladies, so a polyamorous relationship happening between Peter, MJ, and Felicia could lead to more heartbreak than ever before. Still a lot of jealousy there. Although there is some respect, so maybe it'll work out in the future. Number 8. Spider-Man: The Dark Web-Slinger returns. Recently, artist Hayden Sherman took to Twitter to share some artwork that allows fans to imagine a Spider-Man story told in the vein of Frank Miller's Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Sherman blends the fight between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin at the end of Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film with the dark and gritty tones of the Dark Knight Returns story, and the few panels we see are stunning and moving. This might be a darker take than we normally see on Spider-Man, but I for one would be super down for a Spider-Man story like this to pop up in my comic shop. I would buy it. I personally would buy it. Sherman himself offered to draw an entire trilogy plus the fourth unmade film should Marvel want to hire him. And to that I say, Marvel, what are you waiting for? As he reminded everyone, the 20th anniversary is coming up for those films. Number 7. Kindred reveal. With issue 850 or 49 of The Amazing Spider-Man delayed, many are expecting because it has that legacy number, it might be a huge issue. We already know that Norman Osborn will be returning to his more classic role as Green Goblin after spending some time thinking he was Cletus Cassidy due to him merging with Carnage and becoming the Red Goblin previously. That's right, finally Norman will be going from red back to green again. But we are also hoping, as Kindred appears on the cover, that we will also be seeing more of the mysterious new villain, who we still don't know who he is. Sorry, I got too excited and then I lost my place. But we are also hoping, as Kindred appears on the cover, that we will also be seeing more of this new mysterious villain. Who is Kindred? And perhaps even find out just whose face is hiding under that hood and mask. Number 6. Who is Kindred? Speaking of the great horrific Kindred reveal, the question still remains, who is Kindred. Many people seem to be jumping on board with the idea that it's likely either some form of Harry Osborn or some form of Gwen Stacy, just based on what we've discovered and what Kindred says in the latest issues of The Amazing Spider-Man. The constant reference to Kindred's vengeance being a family affair that is discussed with Norman at Ravencroft implies Harry. Kindred says that when Norman regains his sense of self, they'll once again be one big happy family. But at the end of issue 43, we learn the next comic is to be called The Sins of ... which is likely a reference to the Spider-Man stories Sins of the Father. Sins of the Father was the story that revealed that Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy had children together. Ew, but also important, because it could be a hint. Number 5. Sinister 6. A few months back, Sony announced an untitled Sony Marvel project that fans could be expecting to see released on October 8th of 2021. Of course, due to the global crisis still being in effect, it is likely this project will get delayed and pushed back. However, many still pondered at exactly what the project could be. The interesting thing is that it would be releasing about a year after their original release date for Venom 2, and that time would also have been only a few months after the original release date for Spider-Man 3, set to release originally in July 2021. We know the film was also said to be something that would expand Sony's Spider-Verse, which has led many to hope, especially with Morbius slated to be released in the nearish future, that this film we could be seeing as early as next year could be the long-awaited Sinister 6 film. Squee! Number 4. The last Spider-Man film. The MCU Spider-Man films could be coming to a close. We almost didn't get a third film as negotiations between Sony and Disney froze up before finally being resolved. Oh, thank goodness. Considering how difficult it was for the two to come to some kind of agreement last time, it is possible that the next time Sony will be unwilling to loan Disney and Marvel the rights, and that Disney simply will refuse to pay Sony's high price, which they deem ridiculous. Many have therefore theorized that this could be the last Spider-Man film from the MCU that we'll be getting, and that Sony, rather than try to take over the Tom Holland Spider-Man stories, will either reboot and recast again or introduce an entirely new Spider-Man. They could even just make Venom the center of their live-action Spider-Verse, which would be a little weird, but I don't know if I'd hate it. Number 3. Spider-Man dies. As we discussed previously, it's likely that Tom Holland's third Spider-Man film could be his last. So that begs the question, how will Spider-Man exit the MCU? Spider-Man is one of Marvel's biggest properties, but the character could live on in alternate versions, which could be brought into the fold later. Probably through Sony though, as they seem pretty intent on building their own Spider-Verse, one that they hope will rival Disney's massive Marvelverse that they created with the Avengers franchise. If Disney really wanted to give Holland Spidey a finite goodbye, it's possible we could see the character not just retire, but die in that final film, exiting the Marvel and Disney universe forever, with a new alternate Spider-Man such as Miles Morales, Ghost Spider, or Jessica Drew stepping in to take over the future films. Or who knows, Jackpot in some weird capacity, since there's been rumors about that. Number 2. Spider-Man will be forced to kill. Spider-Man doesn't kill often, but every now and then we've seen his alternates forced to do so, and even main continuity Spider-Man forced to do so. In the alternate universe of Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, he was forced to take out an enemy who he's recently actually been very friendly with, as a matter of fact, Venom. And this isn't the only time Spider-Man has killed, although he obviously often tries to avoid doing so when possible. With a few films on the horizon set in and around Spidey's world and villains, some of them being pretty great threats like Carnage, it is possible we could see one of these horrific scenarios come to the big screen, and we could even see Spider-Man turn to the darker side as a result, or become really depressed, which he's really good at doing in the comics. Number 1. Absolute Carnage. People have theorized that with the new Venom 2 film on its way, we won't just be seeing a throwback to the origins of Carnage as we know in the comics, but instead we'll be seeing the Maximum Carnage storyline where Cletus first starts wreaking havoc in the Marvel Universe, blended with a more recent and even more terrifying Carnage story, Donny Cates' Absolute Carnage, and with that story, potentially the introduction of Null as well. While the prospect of expanding and exploring Venom's cosmic heritage so deep so early on seems far-fetched, the Absolute Carnage storyline was well received and well loved, so it is possible we could be shooting past maximum and heading straight for absolute when it comes to Carnage level in terms of where Venom 2's story will take us. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Which theories do you think are true? What are some rumors that you have heard in regards to the cinematic or comic book world of Spider-Man? Which Spidey films are you most looking forward to? Me, I'm still counting down the days till Into the Spider-Verse 2. Bring it on, I'm so ready. Let us know what you're looking forward to and your thoughts on these scary theories in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. You stay nerdy, YouTube.